In the vast expanse of the cosmos, where stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across an endless velvet canvas, there existed a realm beyond human comprehension. This was the domain of the Lumini, an advanced alien civilization whose very existence defied the boundaries of what humanity considered possible. Their homeworld, a crystalline planet orbiting a binary star system, pulsed with an otherworldly energy that made it appear as if the entire sphere was breathing with life itself. The Lumini were beings of pure elegance and sophistication, their translucent bodies shimmering with iridescent hues that shifted according to their emotions. Standing at an average height of 8 feet, they possessed elongated limbs that moved with a fluid grace, while their faces featured large, expressive eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of countless millennia. Most striking were their elaborate head adornments, delicate crystalline structures that grew naturally from their skulls, each unique pattern telling the story of its bearer's lineage and achievements. At the heart of this magnificent civilization stood Queen Seraphina, the 23rd ruler of the Lumini dynasty. Her presence commanded reverence not through fear, but through an aura of profound serenity and ancient knowledge. The queen's crystalline crown reached skyward in intricate spirals, catching and refracting light in ways that created mesmerizing patterns around her. Unlike her predecessors, who had maintained strict isolation from other species, Seraphina possessed an insatiable curiosity about the universe beyond her people's borders. This curiosity led to unprecedented contact with Earth in the year 2075, when Lumini explorers first encountered human spacecraft venturing into deep space. What began as cautious observation evolved into tentative communication, and eventually, a fragile alliance formed between the two species. Humans marveled at the Lumini's mastery of quantum technology and their ability to manipulate matter at a fundamental level, while the aliens found themselves intrigued by humanity's boundless creativity and emotional depth. However, this relationship remained tenuous at best. Many humans viewed the Lumini with suspicion, unable to fully trust beings so fundamentally different from themselves. Likewise, some factions within the Lumini society questioned the wisdom of engaging with such a young and volatile species. Despite these challenges, Queen Seraphina continued to advocate for cooperation, believing that the union of their civilizations could unlock new possibilities for both peoples. Among those who embraced this interstellar partnership was Captain Elias Drake, a decorated warrior from Earth's United Space Command. With his chiseled features, piercing blue eyes, and a reputation for bravery that bordered on recklessness, Drake embodied the classic image of a human soldier. Yet beneath his hardened exterior lay a mind sharp enough to grasp complex alien technologies and a heart open to understanding cultures vastly different from his own. Drake's path crossed with the Lumini during a particularly dangerous mission near the edge of explored space. When his vessel suffered critical damage during a skirmish with space pirates, it was a Lumini rescue ship that saved him from certain death. During his recovery aboard their vessel, he formed an unlikely friendship with several Lumini officers, including Princess Amara, the Queen's youngest daughter. Through their interactions, Drake learned to appreciate the subtle nuances of Lumini culture, their complex social rituals, their sophisticated art forms that existed beyond human sensory perception, and their deeply philosophical approach to existence. The captain's experiences among the Lumini marked him as something of an anomaly among his fellow humans. While many of his comrades maintained a professional distance from their alien allies, Drake actively sought opportunities to work alongside them. He became fluent in their melodic language, mastered their intricate diplomatic protocols, and even participated in their ceremonial dances, much to the amusement of both species. His willingness to bridge the gap between humans and Lumini earned him respect in both communities, though it also drew criticism from more conservative elements on both sides. As years passed, Drake's role evolved from simple military liaison to a crucial figure in maintaining peace between the two civilizations. He served as an advisor to both human and Lumini leaders, helping to navigate the complex web of cultural misunderstandings that inevitably arose. His quarters on the human space station orbiting Earth became a meeting place where diplomats from both species could gather informally, fostering genuine. It was during one of these informal gatherings that fate took an unexpected turn. As Captain Drake conversed with various dignitaries in the station's observation lounge, Queen Seraphina herself entered the room. The atmosphere immediately shifted, all conversations halting as everyone turned to acknowledge the alien monarch's presence. Yet instead of proceeding to the main group, the Queen's luminous eyes locked onto Drake, and she began moving toward him with deliberate purpose. The assembled crowd watched in stunned silence as Seraphina approached the human warrior. Her crystalline adornments caught the artificial light, casting rainbows across the walls as she stopped directly before him. For several heartbeats, she simply studied his face, her expression unreadable yet intensely focused. Then, without warning, she extended her delicate hand and touched his cheek, a gesture of intimacy that would have been scandalous under normal circumstances. "Caltherian," she whispered, using a name unfamiliar to anyone present. "After all these cycles, you have returned to me." Her voice resonated through the chamber, carrying an emotional weight that transcended mere words. The room erupted into murmurs of disbelief and confusion as Drake stood frozen, his military training abandoning him in the face of this unprecedented situation. "I'm sorry, Your Majesty," he managed finally, his voice steady despite the turmoil evident in his eyes. "I believe there has been some mistake. I am Captain Elias Drake of Earth's United Space Command." But the Queen merely shook her head, her crystalline features softening with what appeared to be profound sorrow and joy intertwined. "There is no mistake, my beloved," she declared, her voice now carrying the authority of absolute certainty. "You are Caltherian, my husband lost to the temporal current centuries ago. Though your form has changed, your essence remains unchanged." She gestured to his eyes, which bore a distinctive silver fleck that few had noticed before but now seemed to glow with recognition. The declaration sent shockwaves through both human and Lumini communities. News of the Queen's pronouncement spread rapidly through diplomatic channels and media outlets, sparking heated debates and wild speculation. Human officials scrambled to contain the situation, concerned about how this unprecedented claim might affect interstellar relations. Some argued that the Queen's statement could be a clever political maneuver, while others suggested she might be experiencing some form of royal delusion. Among the Lumini themselves, reactions varied widely. The elder council members expressed grave concern, pointing out that no historical record supported the existence of a human Lumini union in their past. Younger generations, however, found the idea romantically compelling, creating holographic dramas based on the unfolding events. Princess Amara, who had grown close to Drake during their previous encounters, found herself torn between loyalty to her mother and her growing feelings of protectiveness toward the human captain. Drake's own response complicated matters further. Rather than dismissing the Queen's claim outright, he found himself plagued by strange dreams and flashes of memory that felt disturbingly real. Visions of crystal palaces and ancient ceremonies haunted his sleep, while waking moments brought inexplicable familiarity with Lumini customs and history. These experiences left him questioning his own identity, even as his rational mind rebelled against accepting the impossible. The scientific community on both sides launched investigations into the phenomenon. Human researchers focused on potential psychological explanations, suggesting everything from mass hysteria to shared hallucinations. Meanwhile, Lumini scientists employed their advanced technology to scan Drake's genetic structure, searching for any evidence of temporal displacement or biological alteration that might support the Queen's assertion. The results remained inconclusive, adding fuel to the already raging debate. Public opinion splintered dramatically. Some humans rallied behind Drake, seeing his potential connection to the powerful Lumini Queen as a chance to strengthen Earth's position in interstellar politics. Others viewed the situation with suspicion, accusing Drake of orchestrating a hoax to gain influence. Religious groups on Earth seized upon the controversy, interpreting it through various theological lenses that ranged from divine intervention to demonic deception. Within the military ranks, tensions mounted as colleagues questioned Drake's judgment and loyalty. His superiors placed him on temporary leave, citing the need to avoid conflicts of interest during the investigation. This decision only fueled conspiracy theories, with some claiming it proved Drake's guilt while others saw it as evidence of a cover-up. Friends and family found themselves caught in the crossfire of public scrutiny, their private lives dissected by media outlets hungry for any angle on the story. The situation reached a fever pitch when Queen Seraphina announced her intention to bring Drake to the Lumini homeworld for traditional verification ceremonies. These rituals, she explained, would definitively prove the truth of her claim through ancient methods beyond human understanding. The proposal sparked international crises on Earth, with governments divided over whether to allow their citizen to participate in what many considered a potentially dangerous alien experiment. As preparations for the journey commenced, Drake found himself increasingly isolated. Former allies distanced themselves, unwilling to be associated with someone embroiled in such controversy. Yet amidst the chaos, unexpected supporters emerged. A small group of human scientists, convinced that the truth mattered more than political considerations, volunteered to accompany him. Several Lumini diplomats, moved by the Queen's unwavering conviction, offered their protection and guidance. The night before departure, Drake stood alone in his quarters, staring at his reflection in the window overlooking Earth's curve. The man looking back at him seemed both familiar and foreign, his features overlaid with ghostly impressions of another face, one that might have belonged to Caltherian. As he traced the silver flecks in his eyes, memories, not his own, flooded his consciousness. The sensation of crystalline structures responding to his touch, the resonance of ancient vows spoken in a language older than stars, the warmth of a love that transcended lifetimes. When dawn broke, bringing with it the shuttle that would carry him to the Lumini vessel, Drake stepped forward with a mixture of trepidation and resolve. Whatever truths awaited him among the stars, he knew he could no longer deny the possibility that his existence might be part of a story far greater and stranger than anything he had ever imagined. As the craft ascended through Earth's atmosphere, leaving behind a world divided by doubt and wonder, he felt the first stirrings of acceptance, not of the Queen's claim, but of the journey itself, wherever it might lead. The journey to the Lumini homeworld unfolded like a cosmic ballet, each moment choreographed with precision that spoke of centuries of refined space travel. As the human delegation accompanied Drake aboard the massive Lumini vessel, they found themselves surrounded by technology that defied conventional physics. The ship's interior seemed to breathe with life, walls pulsating gently as if synchronized with the occupants' heartbeats. Crystalline conduits ran along the corridors, their light patterns shifting in response to passing crew members, creating an ever-changing tapestry of illumination. Queen Seraphina had taken personal command of the voyage, her presence transforming the utilitarian spacecraft into something resembling a royal procession through the stars. She maintained constant proximity to Drake, her crystalline adornments casting prismatic reflections across the ship's organic surfaces. At times, she would reach out to touch his arm or shoulder, as if reassuring herself of his reality. These gestures, intimate yet restrained, created an electric tension throughout the vessel, with both human and Lumini crew members exchanging uneasy glances. Princess Amara played a crucial role in maintaining diplomatic equilibrium during the journey. She organized daily sessions where humans and Lumini could engage in cultural exchange, hoping to distract from the mounting tension surrounding the central mystery. These gatherings revealed fascinating insights into both species' traditions. Humans marveled at the Lumini's ability to create three-dimensional symphonies that resonated directly with emotions, while the aliens found themselves captivated by human storytelling traditions, particularly the concept of narrative ambiguity. Yet beneath these diplomatic efforts, currents of resistance flowed strong. A faction of Lumini traditionalists, led by High Elder Thaloran, openly challenged the Queen's actions. They convened secret meetings in the ship's crystalline meditation chambers, their arguments carried through the vessel's resonant structure. Their primary concern centered on the potential contamination of pure Lumini bloodlines should the Queen's claim prove true. More pragmatically, they worried about how such a union might affect the balance of power between their species and humanity. On the human side, similar divisions emerged. Military advisors accompanying the delegation grew increasingly vocal about potential security risks, while scientists clashed over theoretical explanations for the situation. Dr. Elena Marquez, the lead xenobiologist, championed the possibility of quantum entanglement affecting consciousness across time and space. Her counterpart, physicist Dr. Raj Patel, argued for a more skeptical approach, suggesting environmental factors might be influencing both Drake's memories and the Queen's perceptions. The most dramatic confrontations occurred during formal meals in the grand dining hall, where bioluminescent flora cast shifting patterns across the ceiling. One evening, High Elder Thaloran directly challenged Queen Seraphina's decision, his crystalline structures vibrating with indignation. "Your Majesty," he intoned, his voice carrying through the chamber like a tolling bell, "you risk undermining centuries of careful governance with this infatuation. The humans are not ready for such intimate integration with our society." Before Seraphina could respond, Captain Drake rose from his seat, surprising everyone with his command of formal Lumini protocol. "With respect, Elder Thaloran," he began, his voice steady despite the weight of dozens of alien eyes upon him. "The question isn't whether humans are ready, but whether we're willing to face truths that challenge our understanding of reality itself." His words, delivered with perfect pronunciation in the melodic Lumini tongue, silenced the room. These exchanges, both formal and informal, wove a complex web of alliances and oppositions throughout the ship. Some Lumini officers began secretly supporting the Queen's position, moved by her unwavering conviction and the peculiar resonance they detected between her and the human captain. Similarly, certain human delegates found themselves drawn to the possibility of a deeper connection between their species, seeing in it the potential for unprecedented technological and cultural advancement. As the journey progressed, strange phenomena began manifesting aboard the vessel. Equipment would occasionally malfunction in Drake's presence, only to self-correct moments later. The ship's crystalline network displayed unusual patterns when he walked through certain corridors, as if recognizing something fundamental about his being. Most disturbing were the instances when both human and Lumini witnesses reported seeing brief flashes of an alternate version of Drake, taller, more crystalline in appearance, yet unmistakably the same person. These occurrences added fuel to the ongoing debates, with each side interpreting them according to their biases. Skeptics pointed to environmental factors or mass hallucination, while believers saw them as evidence of the Queen's claims. Princess Amara, caught between her duty to her people and her growing attachment to Drake, spent hours in the ship's observation deck, watching the stars streak past while grappling with her conflicted loyalties. The tension reached a crescendo during a particularly intense solar storm that forced the vessel to take refuge in the shadow of a massive asteroid. Confined spaces amplified existing hostilities, leading to several heated confrontations. In one incident, a human security officer nearly came to blows with a Lumini guard after overhearing derogatory comments about Drake's supposed manipulation of the Queen. Only quick intervention by both Princess Amara and Dr. Marquez prevented violence. Through it all, Queen Serafina remained resolute, her crystalline features glowing with an inner light that seemed to grow brighter with each passing day. She spent hours in private conversation with Drake, sharing memories of Caltherion that neither confirmed nor denied his identity but painted a picture of a love that had transcended death itself. Whether these stories strengthened or weakened her case depended entirely on the listener's perspective. As the Lumini vessel approached their crystalline homeworld, the atmosphere aboard became charged with anticipation. The planet's surface glittered like a jewel against the blackness of space, its natural formations resonating with harmonic frequencies that could be felt throughout the ship. Crew members prepared for arrival with ritualistic precision, their movements synchronized to ancient patterns that had guided their people for millennia. Queen Serafina herself oversaw final preparations, her crystalline adornments casting complex light patterns that seemed to communicate with the approaching world. Captain Drake found himself drawn to the observation deck, where the planet's beauty unfolded before him like a living painting. The sight triggered something deep within his consciousness, memories or impressions of standing on those crystalline plains, feeling the planet's pulse synchronize with his own heartbeat. Beside him, Dr. Marquez recorded his physiological responses, noting how his brainwave patterns aligned with the planet's natural frequencies in ways that defied conventional neurological understanding. Below them, the Lumini capital city materialized from the planet's crystalline crust, rising like a symphony made solid. Towering spires of living crystal stretched toward the twin suns, their surfaces dancing with light patterns that told stories older than human civilization. Between these structures flowed rivers of liquid light, carrying information and energy throughout the metropolis. The air itself seemed alive with possibility, charged with an energy that made human technology behave erratically within its influence. As they descended through the atmosphere, the delegation witnessed firsthand the Lumini's mastery over matter and energy. Transport platforms materialized from pure light, awaiting their arrival at the spaceport. Crowds gathered below, their crystalline forms creating a sea of shifting colors that reflected the collective emotions of the spectators. Some radiated curiosity, others skepticism, and a significant portion displayed the warm tones of hope and longing. The landing procedures followed ancient protocols, each step laden with symbolic significance. Queen Serafina led the procession down the ramp, her every movement precise and measured. Behind her, Captain Drake walked flanked by Princess Amara and Dr. Marquez, their presence marking this as more than a simple diplomatic visit. The air vibrated with expectation as they stepped onto the platform, the ground itself seeming to recognize and respond to their presence. High Elder Thaloran awaited them, surrounded by a council of elders whose crystalline structures displayed complex patterns indicating their high status. Their expressions remained carefully neutral, though subtle shifts in their light signatures betrayed underlying tension. Traditional greeting ceremonies commenced, each ritual designed to test the authenticity of visitors' intentions. When it came time for Drake to participate, something remarkable occurred. His movements, though guided by Princess Amara's whispered instructions, flowed with an instinctive grace that suggested deep familiarity with the ancient forms. The procession through the city streets revealed the full extent of Lumini society's organization. Citizens lined the thoroughfares, their crystalline bodies creating a living tapestry of light and color. Some held aloft devices that projected holographic images of historical events, while others performed traditional dances that told stories of their people's past. The architecture responded to their passage, walls shifting to display relevant historical records and prophecies that seemed to echo the current situation. Drake found himself drawn to specific areas of the temple, his steps guided by an intuition that felt both alien and familiar. When he touched certain crystals embedded in the walls, they responded with bursts of light that illuminated passages in the ancient texts. These revelations caused visible reactions among the assembled priests and scholars, some nodding in understanding while others exchanged concerned glances. Queen Seraphina watched these developments with an expression that combined hope with apprehension, her crystalline crown casting complex patterns across the chamber's ceiling. The proceedings took an unexpected turn when the temple's central artifact, a massive crystalline sphere suspended in mid-air, began to resonate independently. Its vibrations matched the frequency of Drake's brainwaves, creating interference patterns with the planet's natural harmonic field. Scientists from both species scrambled to record the phenomenon, their instruments struggling to capture data that seemed to exist just beyond conventional measurement. Dr. Marquez noted how the sphere's light patterns began to form symbols that corresponded to both Lumini prophecy and human mythological archetypes. As night fell over the crystalline city, the temple transformed into a nexus of activity. Priests conducted ancient rites while technicians monitored readings from both human and Lumini equipment. Princess Amara coordinated efforts between the two species' scientific teams, translating technical jargon into terms understandable by both. Throughout it all, Captain Drake remained at the center of attention, his presence catalyzing reactions and revelations that challenged fundamental assumptions about identity, consciousness, and the nature of reality itself. The days following their arrival unfolded in a blur of ceremonies and examinations that pushed both human and Lumini understanding to their limits. Each morning began with the sounding of crystalline bells that resonated through the city, calling participants to the verification temple. There, Drake underwent a series of tests that blended ancient Lumini traditions with cutting-edge human technology. The most startling of these involved immersing him in pools of liquid crystal, where his thoughts and memories manifested as visible patterns that both species scientists struggled to interpret. Queen Seraphina maintained an almost constant vigil, her presence both comforting and unnerving to those observing. She participated in every aspect of the verification process, from guiding Drake through complex mental exercises to mediating disputes between skeptical elders and enthusiastic believers. Her conviction never wavered, even when confronted with evidence that seemed to contradict her claims. Instead, she interpreted each new discovery as another piece of a puzzle spanning multiple lifetimes and dimensions of existence. Drake himself experienced profound changes during this period. His connection to the Lumini homeworld grew stronger with each passing day, manifesting in ways that defied explanation. He began speaking in the ancient dialect of the Lumini court without conscious effort, his voice carrying harmonics that resonated with the planet's natural frequencies. At times, he would pause mid-conversation, overcome by visions of events that predated human civilization, yet felt as immediate as yesterday's memories. These episodes left him physically drained but mentally invigorated, as if pieces of a fractured identity were slowly coming together. The human delegation faced increasing pressure from Earth, where public opinion had polarized dramatically. Peaceful demonstrations demanding answers gathered outside Space Agency headquarters, while religious groups organized prayer vigils for Drake's safe return. Conspiracy theories proliferated across media platforms, ranging from government cover-ups to elaborate alien experiments. Military leaders, concerned about potential security implications, demanded regular updates while simultaneously preparing contingency plans for various outcomes. Within the Lumini society, the situation sparked unprecedented cultural introspection. Younger generations embraced the possibility of interspecies connection, organizing artistic performances that celebrated the blending of human and Lumini traditions. Older citizens, particularly those in positions of power, grappled with the implications of their rigid social structures being challenged by such an extraordinary circumstance. Debates raged in crystalline forums throughout the city, with opinions shifting like the light patterns in their environment. Scientific breakthroughs emerged from the collaboration between human and Lumini researchers. They discovered that Drake's DNA contained sequences that resonated with the planet's crystalline structure, though these patterns only activated in specific harmonic fields. This finding led to new theories about quantum consciousness and the possibility of identity existing independently of physical form. Dr. Marquez and her Lumini counterparts developed experimental protocols that allowed them to map these resonances, creating visual representations that looked remarkably like ancient Lumini prophecy symbols. Princess Amara found herself at the center of a personal crisis as her loyalty to her mother conflicted with her growing feelings for Drake. She spent long hours in private meditation chambers, seeking guidance from ancestral memories stored in the planet's crystalline network. These sessions revealed aspects of Lumini history that had been carefully preserved but rarely discussed, tales of interspecies unions and consciousness transfers that paralleled the current situation. The knowledge weighed heavily on her, forcing her to question everything she had been taught about her people's purity and destiny. The verification process reached a critical phase when the central crystalline sphere began generating independent projections. These holographic displays showed scenes that defied linear chronology, images of Drake in both human and Lumini forms, participating in events separated by centuries. The sphere's behavior suggested it was accessing information from beyond conventional spacetime, drawing from a reservoir of experiences that transcended individual lifetimes. Both human and Lumini observers documented these phenomena with a mixture of scientific rigor and awestruck wonder. As the investigation continued, subtle changes began affecting the planet itself. The crystalline structures responded to Drake's presence with increasing intensity, their light patterns becoming more complex and vibrant. Rivers of liquid light altered their courses, flowing toward areas where he spent significant time. Even the twin suns seemed to adjust their positions slightly, bathing the region in illumination that enhanced the visibility of certain phenomena while obscuring others. These environmental responses added another layer of mystery to an already perplexing situation. The human delegation's internal dynamics shifted as well. Military personnel initially skeptical of the Queen's claims found themselves swayed by mounting evidence, while scientists who had championed radical theories struggled to reconcile their hypotheses with new discoveries. Personal relationships formed and dissolved under the pressure of constant observation and analysis, creating a microcosm of human society that mirrored the larger drama unfolding around them. Trust became both a precious commodity and a necessary risk, as individuals from both species forged connections that transcended their initial roles and prejudices. Throughout these developments, Captain Drake maintained a remarkable composure, though those closest to him noticed subtle changes in his demeanor. His leadership skills adapted to incorporate Lumini's social protocols, while his strategic thinking demonstrated an intuitive understanding of alien concepts that should have been beyond his experience. These transformations, coupled with the ongoing verification results, created a situation where the line between human and Lumini identity blurred in ways that challenged fundamental assumptions about consciousness, memory, and the nature of self. As the verification process entered its final stages, the crystalline sphere at the temple's center began manifesting phenomena that defied both human and Lumini understanding. Complex geometric patterns emerged, rotating and shifting in ways that suggested multidimensional awareness. These patterns aligned perfectly with fluctuations in Drake's brain activity, creating a feedback loop that intensified with each passing hour. Scientists from both species worked around the clock, their instruments recording data streams that seemed to rewrite fundamental laws of physics. Queen Seraphina's presence became increasingly vital to maintaining stability during these developments. Her crystalline crown resonated with the sphere's emissions, creating harmonics that stabilized the otherwise chaotic energy fields. She moved through the temple with purpose, her every step calculated to maintain balance between the converging forces. When instability threatened to overwhelm the system, she would position herself at specific nodes, her body acting as a living conduit for the planet's energies. Drake's transformation accelerated dramatically. His silver-flecked eyes now glowed with an inner light that pulsed in sync with the sphere's patterns. Memories flooded his consciousness, not in linear sequence, but as overlapping layers of experience spanning centuries. He recalled battles fought in both human and Lumini forms, diplomatic negotiations that shaped interstellar relations, and moments of profound connection with Seraphina that transcended physical form. These revelations manifested physically, causing his body to emit faint crystalline structures that mirrored the Queen's natural adornments. The human delegation faced unprecedented challenges as their technology struggled to function within the temple's increasingly unstable environment. Communication devices failed, recording equipment produced garbled data, and even basic tools behaved erratically. Dr. Marquez and her team adapted by developing hybrid systems that incorporated Lumini technology, creating devices that could operate within the altered parameters. These innovations led to breakthroughs in understanding how consciousness could interface with crystalline structures, opening new avenues of research that promised to revolutionize both species' technological capabilities. Among the Lumini, divisions deepened as traditionalists clashed with progressives over the implications of these developments. High Elder the Loran led a faction demanding immediate cessation of the verification process, arguing that the planet's natural harmony was being disrupted. Opposing him were younger council members who saw this as an opportunity to evolve their society beyond its rigid boundaries. Princess Amara found herself torn between these factions, her loyalty to her mother conflicting with her duty to maintain social order. The situation reached a critical point when the sphere's emissions began affecting the entire planet. Crystalline structures worldwide resonated with the temple's frequencies, causing widespread disruptions in Lumini infrastructure. Transportation networks faltered, communication systems failed, and even the planet's weather patterns shifted in response to the growing energy field. Citizens gathered in public squares, their crystalline bodies glowing with anxiety and anticipation as they watched their world transform around them. In the midst of this chaos, Drake experienced a profound shift in consciousness. He found himself able to perceive the interconnectedness of all things on the planet, the flow of energy through crystalline networks, the harmonic resonance of living beings, and the subtle threads of causality that bound past, present, and future. This awareness granted him insights into both human and Lumini history, revealing patterns and connections that had shaped their respective evolutions. He understood now why the Queen had recognized him, though the full implications of this knowledge remained just beyond his grasp. Queen Seraphina, sensing the approaching culmination of events, initiated ancient protocols that had lain dormant for millennia. She directed the temple's priests to activate emergency systems designed to contain and focus the growing energy field. These measures created a stable bubble within the chaos, allowing critical functions to continue while the larger transformation unfolded. Her crystalline crown extended new growths that interfaced directly with the sphere, creating a living circuit that channeled power in controlled bursts. The human delegation, recognizing the gravity of the situation, worked tirelessly to document everything while assisting with containment efforts. Military personnel established protective perimeters around critical areas, while scientists collaborated with Lumini technicians to develop solutions that combined both species' strengths. This unprecedented cooperation demonstrated the potential for human-Lumini synergy, even as it highlighted the vast differences between their approaches to crisis management. As the energy field continued to intensify, Drake found himself drawn inexorably toward the sphere's core. The memories and insights flooding his consciousness coalesced into a coherent understanding of his dual nature. He saw how his human identity and the essence of Caltherian were not separate entities, but complementary aspects of a single being that had existed across multiple timelines. This realization brought both clarity and overwhelming responsibility, as he grasped the role he must play in bridging two civilizations at a pivotal moment in their shared history. The convergence of forces within the temple created conditions that neither species had encountered before. Time itself seemed to warp and fold, with moments from different eras overlapping in visible manifestations. Historical figures appeared as ghostly presences, their forms composed of pure light that interacted with the physical world in unpredictable ways. These apparitions carried messages and warnings, their voices resonating through the crystalline structures with urgent clarity. Throughout these developments, Princess Amara emerged as a crucial mediator between the conflicting forces. Her unique position as both royalty and scientist allowed her to bridge gaps between tradition and innovation, skepticism and belief. She worked closely with Drake, helping him navigate the complex web of responsibilities that his awakening consciousness had revealed. Together, they began formulating plans for how to integrate the knowledge gained from this experience into both societies' development, though the path forward remained obscured by uncertainty. The situation continued to evolve, with each new revelation raising more questions than answers. The boundary between human and Lumini identity blurred further, challenging fundamental assumptions about individuality and species distinction. As the planet's transformation accelerated, all those involved recognized that they stood at the threshold of a new era, one that would redefine their understanding of existence itself and forge connections that transcended conventional limitations of time, space, and consciousness. As the energy reached its peak, Drake stepped into the sphere, his form dissolving into pure light that merged with the crystalline matrix. Queen Seraphina joined him, their essences intertwining as the temple resonated with a harmony never before witnessed. The planet stabilized, its crystalline structures glowing brighter than ever, signaling a new unity between human and Lumini consciousness. High Elder the Loran bowed in reverence, acknowledging the transformation as divine will. Princess Amara embraced her role as a bridge between species, vowing to guide both civilizations toward coexistence. The human delegation returned to Earth with proof of shared destiny, forever altering humanity's place in the cosmos. Records from the sphere revealed that Caltherian's essence had always been tied to Drake's soul across lifetimes. Together, they emerged as dual rulers of an alliance that transcended individual identities. The line between human and Lumini blurred, birthing a new era of symbiotic evolution. As stars aligned above the crystalline world, hope for universal peace burned eternal, a testament to love enduring beyond time itself.